So, on today's webinar on mastering the MDM journey and starting with trusted data, I am Eleni, a solutions engineer at Tamer, and I'm joined by my wonderful colleague and director of product marketing, Tatiana. So, welcome, Tatiana.
Hi, Lenny. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to be here and share some insights on what is an MDM journey, how other companies navigate their own unique MDM journeys, and share a couple of real world examples of customers who do that successfully.
I'm excited. Some of you may have been on the other webinars before, and as I always do, I'll just give you a general walkthrough. And if this is your first time at the webinar, I'm super excited. Hopefully, you'll find something useful today, both for yourself and the organization that you associate yourself with, I should say. All right, so in the next 30 minutes, we'll walk through the 4 critical stages of MDM. Those will be assessing, improving, reviewing, and operationalizing. And we'll walk through what those exactly are later. We'll explore the biggest challenges organizations face, how they approach the MDM journey, and share real-world examples of companies transforming their data strategies. At Tamer, we call MDM a journey because tackling messy siloed data at scale is never a one-time fix. It requires continuous learning, automation, and adaptation to drive real business value. So it is challenging, and we hear you. We hear this all the time. So we have this webinar to show you how you're not alone and what it is that you can really do to work on this. But before that, we wanted to run a quick poll. So please take a moment to rate how far along your organization is with its MDM program. Some of those options are not started, planning, implementing, or in production. So on the right side of your screen, that's where you will be able to see that poll, and we'll give you a couple of seconds to answer that. All right, let's see. Oh, these are interesting results. I like this. Okay, so different stages. That's going to be very, very helpful. I like how it's kind of spread out. I see there's 5 votes for not started, 6 votes for not started. Or did somebody think they started and they just went back on it? Okay, that's possible. We have 12 for planning, 10 for implementing, and 10 in production. All right, so I think all of you will be able to gain something today. This will be hopefully an extremely useful session. But before I get started, with the webinar with Tatiana, I'll just give you a little more information and I'll stop with the planning. But I am a planner and I want you all to feel comfortable during the webinar. On the right side of your screen, you'll also see a Q&A box. So feel free to submit any questions at any time. These are private, so don't hesitate to ask whatever is on your mind, and we'll address them throughout the session and in the Q&A at the end. But also we have a team that will be able to answer those questions. But that's it. No more giving you advice on how to go to Q&A and answer polls. Tatiana, let's kick things off. So,
Yes, I would like
you've,
that.
you've worked with many organizations on their MDM programs. What's the biggest challenge that they face?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as you of course know, we work with customers of different sizes that operate in different industries. They are at different, technological maturity levels. And there is one thing that that is in common among them. And what it is that they know that they have a problem with their data, and they know that MDM is the right solution for them, but they don't really know where to start, right? They don't really know how to tackle this problem. And so, we spend some time learning from those who do so successfully, who do great progress, who show great progress and success on their unique MDM journey. And so we decided, to chart this uncharted territory by kind of specifying those 4 key steps of an MDM journey to help others navigate their MDM journey. And so, what are those 4 steps? So, the first step or stage is assess. This is the stage where you spend time understanding where it is, where you are, what's the state of your data, and where do you want to go. Basically understanding what's the destination, right? What's the business goal? Why do you want to embark on this journey? So second stage, improve, is when you improve the quality of your data by cleaning, enriching, curating it, and delivering golden records, trustworthy golden records that contain the best data, the best enterprise data that you have available. So then moving on to stage 3, review. This is a stage where you take this improved, great quality, best version of your data and share it with business users, not only business users, but those end users, data consumers who use the data on a daily basis to do their job, right? It could be salespeople, marketing organization, it could be procurement, you name it. But basically the people who actually use the data on a daily basis. And then last but not least, operationalization. This is the stage where you connect the best data that you have available about your customers, suppliers, etc., to your operating systems. And here in this stage, I think it is very important to stop for a second and mention that we've seen many customers, many organizations actually start at the very last stage. They kind of either skip or rush through the first 3 stages and they jump right into operationalizing their data. But the trick is that when you do so, when you operationalize the data that isn't ready, it causes a lot of problems down the road. And we will talk about it in more detail later, in today's webinar. But it is, I just wanted to kind of highlight it here right at the start. That is very important, right? Not to jump straight into operationalization. And we are here to help you navigate through the first 3 fundamental steps to get you ready for operationalizing your data.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a lot of questions for all of those stages, and I think that the people that are on the webinar might too. But I think in any attempt that I personally have on targeting a new goal and organizations that I work with in tackling MDM, they start with the assessment, hopefully, at some point. So how should organizations better assess where they are in their MDM journey? Because I have to admit, I don't think that everyone really knows where they are in their MDM journey. There's the people that really hope they're somewhere, but may not be there. So how do they better assess it?
Yeah, of course. And yes, I totally agree with you and understand that there is no, one fits all approach. But there are some, rule of thumbs, some tricks and that I'm here to share today. So I guess the first and one of the most important things you do on your MDM journey is try to understand what it is that you try to achieve, not from the data standpoint, but from the business standpoint, right? Connect your data with the business strategy, right? And once you do that, it will help you prioritize or identify the data that you want to focus on, right? It is a very bad idea to kind of boil the ocean, right, and tackle your data in its entirety. And so focusing only on the data at first, that would be essential to making sure you are, achieving the destination of your choosing, would be, the first thing you would want to do. So to do so, you want to make sure that you engage diverse stakeholders, as I mentioned earlier, right? You want to make sure that this, exercise is not done just for the sake of having great, good data. It is for the sake of making, people's life better and helping them do their job better, right? And so connect to diverse stakeholders across organization to make sure, your data strategy aligns with the business strategy. And to do so, ask those uncomfortable, critical questions to get to, to the point where you need to be.
Mhm. It's interesting you bring this up now because this morning I talked with Burberry, who's one of Tamer's customers, and they talked with somebody who leads a lot of different data teams and different data functions. And they always say involve different stakeholders and ensure that you focus on what the most important asset you have to your business is, because there's so much data that you could tackle, but it just doesn't always make sense. Some things are more distracting than they are useful.
Yeah,
And with
exactly.
that in mind,
And
uh,
actually, yeah, I just realized that I wanted to add one more thing as you were talking about,
mm,
this conversation that
yeah.
you had earlier. What we've seen is that many organizations kind of try to, rush through this process or skip this stage altogether and just make assumption. Let's say, oh, my data is whatever, 60%, ready. And as a result, surprise, surprise, it is not. So it is very important not to rush through this process and actually, take a short step back and, make sure your starting point is right. Because, without understanding the current state, you cannot really plan and prepare for successful future state. So basically, future starts tomorrow or today, right? So, yeah, just wanted to add it here.
Yeah, and for the people that are on the call, are there any questions that they could also internally ask that you can leave them with when they go and assess with their teams?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. And I guess, again, starting from very simple questions that turn out to be very hard to answer. How many customers do I have? If there is a issue, problem in my data, typo something, how quickly can I identify it? And, how easily can I resolve it? I bet there are many people on this call or on this webinar, right, who's been in a conference room, on a meeting, and then a question is asked, how many customers do we have? Or name top 3 customers, and different departments have different answer that, right? And then you spend hours arguing over whose data is right. So to avoid those situations, you need to kind of find a middle ground and start from there.
Mhm. All right, we've assessed, and now we want to improve. And many companies struggle with data cleaning at scale. Is there a way for AI and automation to help in making this process more efficient?
Oh, that's an easy yes. I think from where I sit, I believe that AI is, should be a cornerstone of this improve stage. And just, to remind everyone, improve the stage is about improving the quality of your data by cleaning, curating, enriching it. And AI can do those boring and monotonous data cleaning tasks for you, right? It allows for scalability, flexibility, efficiency, speed, you name it. So why not ask it to do it for you, right? To do the heavy lifting for you while you were focusing on some more strategic, things. So yeah, hope this answers your question.
Yeah, it definitely does answer the question in using AI. I mean, we talk a lot about AI native MDM, and with Tamer being the only actually AI native MDM tool out there, a lot of the times people are curious, how could I utilize it to help me out? Another thing that on this improvement space that I hear often from prospects and customers is, well, what about like third party enrichment? Do you have a take on that? How much does it help with the improvement, and when should companies really consider it?
Yeah, of course. And so overall, I do believe that when used correctly and thoughtfully, third-party data is, helps a lot to A, improve matching accuracy, and B, fill in the gaps in your data to make it more usable, complete, etc. But I want to, kind of bring this point home that when used correctly, if you just go out there and buy, all sorts of referential data and kind of throw it all together, it won't be that helpful. But there are ways how enrichment can support and improve data quality. So, for example, as of course you know, at Tamer, we built a vast corpus of referential data, which we use to match our customers' internal records against. And by doing so, we help them drive their matching accuracy up, and again, fill in the gaps in the data that they need, that needs to be filled in. So yes, external data, I'm a big proponent and supporter of it when it is used, thoughtfully.
I agree with you. I always joke that if you had a Lenny Pataki corporation, maybe you would get a customer or a company 360 for a Lenny Pataki corporation. But everybody, I am not a real corporation. Not yet. Not yet. But if you're using referential match, at least you'll check the legitimacy. So when you say you have golden records, you actually have them, and you remove a Lenny Pataki corporation from your data. So that's out.
Yes.
All right.
And you
I've
also might
assessed.
figure out, yes, that, Tatiana Incorporated is actually a subsidiary of Eleni Incorporated, right? And so there's so much value in external data, but you need to be thoughtful about how you build it in the process.
Yeah, and also not all enrichment is the right enrichment, right? I think One capability that I find very useful is there is a page where you can see what, like which of these referential data sets would actually help me. Some will give me 80% coverage, some a lot less. So it's always something to consider to figure out what the right fit is. Speaking of improvement, maybe we get to a state where we do have our customer 360. There's people in the crowd that are in this review phase. So you emphasize engaging business users in this process. What's a practical way to ensure that they participate appropriately?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things that are worth mentioning. So first and foremost, as I mentioned earlier, it is very important to engage business users, end user data consumers in this exercise, right? You don't want to stop at the data team because data team are not the ones who use this data on a daily basis and know it better. So, but when you are sharing this data, right, when you engage those diverse stakeholders, you want to make sure that the data is presented in such a way that it's, easy to consume, easy to understand. So you don't want, let's say, salespeople to be staring at a large, Excel spreadsheet with hundreds of attributes, right, not really knowing what to do with it, right? So you want to make sure that they can interact with this information easily. And so, for example, at Tamer, we have those so-called 360 pages where it's almost like a wiki page, right, with all the best data about, let's say, a customer, kind of all structured in a very user-friendly manner. And most importantly, it allows you to submit feedback really quickly and easily, right? So you just open a form and you say, hey, there is a typo in Tatiana's last name. I think it's wrong or something like that. And then you kind of click okay, right? And it goes right into the data curator's hands. And, this person can action on this feedback almost instantaneously, right? And I think at this stage, it is very important to remember that it's not only about improving data quality and iterating continuously and making sure there is alignment between the data and the business needs, right? What it is that business org actually needs in terms of data, but also keeping people in the loop, asking for their feedback helps improve trust within the organization, just kind of through this collaboration. And I think it is very, very important.
Absolutely. Genuinely, I mean, precisely that. Because you could have a process where we utilize AI and machine learning in order to achieve a specific result. And it does provide a lot more time and back into users' hands so that they can focus on other critical things that they care about day to day. However, I think there is always the importance of keeping that human in the loop and what happens with edge cases and using AI in order to surface those edge cases for people to review. I think is critical for how organizations function because you don't want things to be a black box. Um, I definitely stand by that fully. After reviewing, a lot of people start thinking about, okay, I am operational now, right? And sometimes there's this very thin line between review and operationalize, and what does operationalizing really mean? And I think the biggest risk in operationalizing MDM is really pushing incorrect data into business systems. So how can teams avoid this?
Do not skip the first three stages. So as I mentioned earlier, from our experience, we do often
So
see
you
that.
said do not skip the first three stages. That's what you said.
Yes, yes,
Mm.
exactly. Yeah. So, as I mentioned earlier, I think at the very beginning, what we see often is that organizations are so excited about operational use cases that they jump straight into it without fixing the data first. But unfortunately, this does result in all sorts of downstream complications, errors, and risk exposure. And so, yes, our advice would be here to ensure that data is ready and how to do it. Go through the first three stages that we've just discussed.
In defining though operational
No.
MDM, if you can do so for us, is it for everyone? Is operational
Mhm.
MDM really for everyone?
That's a wonderful question. I get it all the time. So that's why I come prepared with a slide. So, no, the quick answer is no. Um, although we do advise companies to strive, to aim to have their best data available at all consumption endpoints, including those operational use cases, right? So basically connecting the best data they have to their mission critical systems, right? Operating systems. We totally understand and acknowledge that it might not be, the right fit for every organization. And the reasons, there are several reasons for that. It could be timing. It could be, technological maturity. It could be just the specifics of the use case. It could also be, just it's not a priority for now. But you need to remember that, never say never. And tomorrow things can change. And so our advice here is typically go through the first three stages, make sure your data is ready, start getting value from those three stages. And let's say, continue using this, best version of your data for analytical use cases. And then when the need arises, when you and your organization are ready for operational use cases, you will have the data ready, right? And everyone will already be, on board with it. So again, just start going through the first three stages and kind of building a solid foundation for operational use cases down the road, if it is not a priority for you, as of now.
Hmm. Are there organizations that have nailed this MDM journey and saw immediate impact, or what does this really look like in real life beyond just the stages?
Yeah, of course. And again, I've done my homework, so I have a couple of examples of very, impressive work that other organizations done.
I'm
And I want to
You're
kind
the
of
best. You're the best person to bring on the webinar, Tatiana. You've done all the prep. You don't need me here. I can just leave. Everybody, maybe we should put another poll. Do we need Eleni
thank
again for
you.
these webinars? Yes or no?
I totally do. So a couple of examples, and before I jump into sharing their stories, I want to kind of start with a note or disclaimer, right? As you listen to those customer stories, you will notice that both customers, they operate in different industries, right? Financial services versus healthcare. They had completely different starting points. They had completely different destination in mind, and we were so excited to meet them where they needed us the most, and partner with them and help them walk through their unique MDM journeys. And so with that, let me jump into the first story, right? Mizuho Bank. So they had very kind of legacy approach to data management, and their goal, their business strategy was to grow their business in the US. So a couple of success factors that played critical role for them were, first, choosing the modern flexible MDM platform that allowed them to implement faster and scale, and also go through changes and updates whenever they needed. So secondly, machine learning driven entity resolution proved to deliver better matching accuracy, better matching results. And one interesting piece of feedback that they also shared was that they tried to focus on the quality of the output data versus the input, because this way it was much easier to connect it to kind of real world problems rather than just some hypothetical ones. And so a couple of pitfalls that they recommend avoiding are, first, data quality issues delay progress, and second, do not basically go with operational use cases before you fix the data. Otherwise, it causes problems down the road. And so another example would be from AMN Healthcare. And again, completely different starting point, different industry, everything is different. So they had a solution in place, which they wanted us to replace. And this solution, it was not scalable, not flexible enough, and lacked real-time capabilities, which was critical to delivering instant, excellent, exceptional clinician experience, right? And this was their main goal. So a couple of success factors that they mentioned were, before doing anything, clearly define the problem that you're trying to solve for and align it to business strategy. And then involve business users early and often. And lastly, pick the right technology partner. And so a couple of pitfalls that they can suggest avoiding at all costs. Do not boil the ocean, right? Again, focus on the key entities that will have the biggest impact on the business. Secondly, do not rush with implementation, right? Make sure you implement things the way that works best for your organization, depending on, right, how things function and, all the processes, internal processes that you have in place. Last but not least, do not overlook the importance of external data.
Well, okay. There's, I think, a lot to think about there, and I'm sure if anyone is interested more in these particular use cases, there is more information that you can find. But we gave a lot of information to all the people at the webinar today. So if they leave with one thing, other than the fact that Eleni Partaki Corp doesn't exist, I don't have a company, what's one piece of advice to a company just starting their MDM journey?
Read our ebook. But no, jokes aside, I guess I would say a few things. I know you're asking for one, but I have three in my sleeve. So the first one is, remember that MDM is not a project, it's a journey. And when you're embarking on it, just remember to start small, show progress, and iterate as you go, right? You might learn that something isn't exactly the way you wanted it to be. And so keep this kind of mindset that you need to iterate as you go. And last but not least, don't do everything yourself. Use modern technology, use AI, use machine learning to help you along the way and do the heavy lifting for you, so you can focus on more strategic components of this MDM journey.
Thank you, Tatiana. We're almost up on time, and with a minute left for everyone, you've seen mastering the MDM journey is essential for organizations looking to turn fragmented, inconsistent data into a trusted business-ready asset. And following a structured approach, other than it making you organize, such as assess, improve, review, operationalize that Tatiana gave us today, organizations can overcome common data challenges and ensure their data is not just clean, but also actionable. So thank you so much for being part of the discussion today. We hope you're leaving with fresh insights into how Tamer can empower organizations like yours. And we'll be sending out the webinar recording soon. But if you'd like a deeper little dive, feel free to request a demo to see Tamer in action. Maybe we will meet each other again. You can watch a video on how we build golden records. And you can also check out our latest ebook on the MDM journey, which Tatiana just mentioned a couple moments ago. Anything else, Tatiana, that you'd like to leave the audience with?
So if you are interested in learning more about MDM journey and hearing firsthand from Mizuho Bank and AMN Healthcare, and if you are attending Gartner's Data Analytics Summit in Orlando next week, make sure to stop by our booth and stop by our speaking session. But thank you for having me today. It was great, joining you and the rest of the audience. I hope this was helpful. And yeah, good luck on your MDM journey. And if you need any help or have questions, feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much, Tatiana, for your time. And thank you to everyone for joining the webinar today. And we'll see you very soon for the next webinar or at the Gartner Orlando Summit next week. All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.